Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? It's Matt here from YoVideogames. Our hands-on E3 2016 coverage continues with the last big fighting game of the show, at least the last big fighting game that I played, and of course I'm talking about Injustice 2. Now, Injustice 2 was pretty much hinted at or rumored or known that it was going to show up eventually, and it's kind of a no-brainer. After Mortal Kombat X, it just seemed natural for NetherRealm Studios to go on to Injustice 2. Now, it does play mostly like Injustice 1, of course, that meaning that you do hold back to block, so it's not a complete copy of the Mortal Kombat style. We saw some returning characters and we saw some new characters, and we only saw about 3 stages of the show. Again, the game's pretty early. It's coming out next year sometime. They don't really have a release date. It might actually show up a little later. Usually NetherRealm games show up in April, but it looks like Injustice 2 might get pushed back a little bit further than that. And there's a pretty good reason for that. That's because the roster is fucking enormous. So when you go and see a NetherRealm Game Studios title, before it's finished, and you have a unfinished roster screen, where you select your characters, and there's all these silhouettes of faded out characters. And the thing is, NetherRealms are so cool and so funny about this, they always put fake silhouettes in their character roster. They did it last time for Mortal Kombat X, they're definitely doing it this time. You could see all kinds of crazy things like Clint Eastwood was in there, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, other weird celebrities, politicians, just generally good, funny, humorous stuff. And it's kind of sad that most people actually don't get to see this Easter egg, as it were. But nonetheless, we got our hands on with about, I think, 5 or so characters. There was Batman, Superman, Supergirl, there was Gorilla Grodd, and there's, oh god, I'm going to pronounce his name so wrong. Let's call him the Red Lantern. So that was, and Aquaman, of course. So we had 3 returning, 3 new. So we got our hands on, and I think the most surprising thing about the hands-on of Injustice 2 was how familiar and close to Injustice 1 Batman, Superman, and Aquaman all felt. And I think this was done on purpose. I think this was not only deliberate in the sense that they wanted to be able to focus time on their new roster, which again is going to be enormous. We're pushing like 40 or so characters. I mean, Ed said, live all over the place, it's going to be the biggest DC roster ever in a fighting game. So that's really no surprise, but I think what's really interesting is that not only is it, I think, by design that they're making Batman, Superman, Aquaman, and probably all of the returning Injustice 1 characters feel and play just like the original ones. That's probably for time constraints, but it also has a pretty good motive. So if you're, say, a big DC fan, and you bought Injustice, and you didn't buy Mortal Kombat X, maybe just because you're not into the gore, maybe you have kids, maybe, you have all these other reasons, maybe you just really just like DC Comics, what have you, or maybe you just like Injustice's fighting system more than Mortal Kombat. They're not going to mix up the characters drastically so that you have to feel like you have to start from scratch. If you're good with Batman, Superman combos and mix-ups, and even in Aquaman as well, you're going to feel very familiar when playing the characters in Injustice 2. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I don't think the characters were misrepresented in Injustice 1. They all pretty much played as you would expect them to mostly play. Now, that also does give a big hint that maybe most, if not the entire cast of Injustice 1 is going to return. Now, I could definitely take or leave a few of Injustice 1's roster. I definitely feel it was overrepresented on the Batman side, and Batman's my favorite, DC hero. He has a huge rogues gallery that's awesome, and I know Batman the best, but that being said, when you have the opportunity to make a game based on the entirety of DC's lore, it would really be fun to bring in all these other great characters from their comic history and not just rely so much on Batman and his mythos and his heroes and villains and rogues gallery. So, all that being said, how did the characters play? At least how the new characters play? Well, as you might have saw when Injustice 2 was officially announced, everyone, including Max, was tweeting me about how much fun Grodd would be, and I was actually pretty pumped to play as Gorilla Grodd. And I don't like him. I don't like his playstyle. He's really bizarre. So he's only got a couple moves on his own default, and if you want to actually use all of his psychic abilities, you have to basically press the B button on Xbox or circle on PlayStation 4, and you have to basically activate his psychic meter, which has a little countdown timer. And once you're in your psychic meters activated, then you can do all kinds of other extra psychic moves. They're cool moves like levitation. They have weird things where they'll make your opponent start punching themselves in the face, which is humorous but totally in character. So that's all really cool, but his playstyle is just not me, not what I like. As for the Red Lantern, he was definitely the favorite. I watched Max and Sonic Fox go at it for a while on the Red Lantern. And he is really cool because he's got his blue cat Red Lantern companion, and that's kind of his special ability. He can summon the cat, make the cat do all kinds of cool things. Apologies to the DC fans for me not pronouncing their names or even saying their names. I'm going to get them wrong, and that's just going to piss you off. So let's just cut it off the chase here. He's the Red Lantern. He's got the Red Lantern cat, and I'm not going to mispronounce the names just to piss you all off. Supergirl actually is pretty cool. She's I feel different enough in playstyle from Superman to justify her existence in the game. Now, of course, she's going to have some crossover abilities. She has eye lasers, which is her super ability or special ability or B ability, and she does in some moves use her ice breath. But she's kind of like a weird combination of Superman and Flash, where she'll do moves where she'll fly off one side of the screen and come in on the opposite side and punch the character up. She's interesting. I actually kind of like Supergirl. I like playing as her a lot. So Batman felt, again, really familiar. Superman did. I didn't play him very much. I played a lot of Aquaman because Aquaman was definitely familiar and fun to use. As for the stages, we got 3, and here's where I'm going to start getting kind of nitpicky as a DC fan. So there was Metropolis, Gotham, and Atlantis. Atlantis looked really cool. Atlantis is an even more fantastical, interesting upgrade from the first game's Atlantis. It looks completely different, and as you're doing the stages, you'll notice that as you get further into the rounds, kind of just like Killer Instinct, if you get into, both of you getting down to your second life bar, some crazy shit starts happening in the background. So it's really cool to see there's this cinematic flair, this story progressing in the background. And in Atlantis, you see this big, giant, like kaiju bioluminescent monster come and like smack on the glass of behind you, and that's actually really cool to see. And in Gotham, you played in front of a movie theater, which I guess replaces the strip club, and you see like a big truck come in, and all these thugs come out of the truck and they unload, and there's like this sort of heist at the movie theater that goes on. Here's where I get nitpicky and annoyed. Metropolis default starts in a fucking bar, like just a normal, seedy, kind of grimy bar. And this really annoys me. And unless you do the stage transition in Metropolis, it doesn't fucking feel like Metropolis. Metropolis should feel like a really cutting-edge technology city of the future. Not quite futuristic, but cutting fucking edge. And it should be bright, it should be, more open air, blue skies, and it fucking takes place in a bar. It was really kind of like, what, why? Now, that's in a nitpick on its whole, I feel kind of goes over the whole fucking Injustice series. And that is, goddamn, it follows way too much of this stupid fucking Zack Snyder grime fest. Now, I know that it's not just Zack Snyder. I know Christopher Nolan, you could look at his Batman trilogy and say, well, that was like hyper-realistic, and it wasn't very fantastical, it wasn't very bright and colorful either. I agree, but it worked well for those movies. I don't like the fact that this is still this sort of this is Injustice. Select your character. Superman. Aqualad. Or whatever. Like, no fucking hype. No fucking hype announcer. Even in a private room, we couldn't even fucking hear the soundtrack, and if we did hear it, it was just like really mellow beats, and I don't know, I feel like DC can be more than just the dark, brooding Marvel. I don't like that, and I don't like it in the movies, and I'm not liking it here in Injustice too much. I really feel that they could really do a lot more to make the game more exciting and more colorful, and the thing is you look at the Marvel games, and Marvel vs. Capcom is still a beloved game, but even with that fact, it's still super memorable. See, the thing is, Marvel 2 had really hokey music, and it had some really silly situations, but it's memorably hokey. It's memorably fun and cheesy. The elevator music was terrible in one sense, but you remember, people still hum it. It was remixed to fucking hell and back in Marvel 3. No one's going to ever remix a fucking Injustice theme. No one even remembers what the Injustice theme is. I know that's kind of an over-exaggeration, and I'm being kind of harsh, but I like my fighting games to be pumped up. And if you're going to go the more Gridmark route, you can go the more hardcore Killer Instinct route, made famous by Robin Beanland and later followed up by Mick Gordon and the new guys doing Season 3. Or, you can go to super, really high-energy, pumped-up Marvel series. And I guess Injustice wants to be different. It wants to be that we're the dark, brooding, serious side of fucking comic fighting games, and I don't like it. That's just not me. The other thing that I really don't like is God damn it, I don't like the character models. Like, Supergirl, she's got good animation, and I feel she's got the character spunk down right. And I like the idea behind, like, say, her winning pose, where, like, she, you know, flies into the sky into the future. But she looks fucking ugly as fuck. I know, it's funny because people are always making excuses, well, it's the lighting, oh, it's this, and her hair's not done. It's like, her character model presented at the show floor looked typical NetherRealm butt fuck ugly. And it works really good on, say, Red Lantern, like Grodd looks fine, you know, even Batman. But when you have characters who have pretty much their whole face uncovered, they look terrible, especially the females. Like, the males are pretty much fine because they're going for that hard, chiseled, like, you know, big, brooding, macho man look, and that's fine, it works, I guess. But, you know, it wouldn't kill NetherRealms to maybe kind of break tradition a bit and try to go for a more, I don't know, pretty look for their pretty female fighters. I'm not saying female fighters have to be pretty. I love a good muscular woman, but my God, like, Supergirl kind of looks like a young Hillary Clinton. It's not doing it for me, and I really wish it was, but it just fucking isn't. Is this, in the end though, is this a fun fighting game? I think it is. I think it's really good. I think it's, even for as early of a stage as it is, it's super fucking playable. It's got great mechanics already built into it, and it's going to really entice, and it's really going to appeal to Injustice 1 fans. If you liked Injustice 1, you're going to like Injustice 2. I don't think there's any question about that. Even in this really early look at it, it's definitely continuing the success of Injustice and continuing the things that you loved in Injustice. The thing is, though, if you're a DC fan like me who kind of enjoys the more whimsical and more comical things of the DC nature, I think it's not going to really change much from 1 to 2 here. It's going to be that more serious, more NetherRealm version of Injustice. But you know what? That's kind of personal at that point. As far as the actual core gameplay goes, solid NetherRealm fighter, with this time though with the more Injustice style fighting system with hold back to block. And I found it weird because I always thought, or maybe I'm just completely crazy, but I thought it was light punch, hard punch, light kick, hard kick, but it's not. In this one, there's the kick, punch, hard, like heavy attack, and then there's like the special attack, which is done with the B or circle button. At least that's what it seemed for Supergirl, for Grodd, for Red Lantern. So I don't know if that's something new for this game. I really did not play a lot of Injustice beyond story mode and tinkering around with Green Arrow, but I don't know. Maybe it's something new, but I think it works anyways. And you know, watching Sonic Fox go at it in the game, this game's definitely gonna have stuff that you're gonna enjoy. It's definitely gonna be a good, competent fighter. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the channel later, dudes.